things.
Yeah.
So to be able to go out there and just fish, it's kind of scary. But you think about it. How many times have both of you been to a lake like maybe you're not really that familiar with, and you just go fishing and really the and then you've been
Yes.
and an organization that and I that that we sponsor exemptions and invitees. When you're building the team to try to build what Apex is trying to build, you do need the right mindset, the right anglers around.
Yeah.
Because like you guys both loose lips sink ships, and if people aren't all pulling the same way, this thing won't happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as you know, I'm definitely I'm not a hater of any circuit. I don't care if it's the new thing now is the kayak circuit. Smashing them on kayaks, making their the prizes are great. I don't own a kayak, but I'm a critic. And people get mad at me because obviously I'm very vocal on my social media about different organizations, but it's nothing against the fishing aspect of it or the tournament aspect. It's mostly like like people say, oh well, it's the transparency of Wild West, or tell the truth, league, or whatever the comments that are made. It's just for me, I want whatever sport it is, or should I say whatever organization, I want that organization to grow, because when it grows, it's good for all of us. And to put I always want to, like when people are debating, well, what's better, shared weight, or, five fish, or, the MLF format that's doing the, 1 pound, 2 pound deal. At the end of the day, we all just want to catch fish. That's what we do. We want what's best for the sport. And that's the reason why Rod and I are doing what we do. It's mostly because we love the sport so much. We want to be able to talk about it with people,
Well, so I'll give you an example. Okay, so you're moonlighting, I'll call it, at Anglers Marine. Okay, they sell all different kind of bass boats. They sell pontoon boats, right? They sell Lowrance. Rod, does a huge job with the Lowrance stuff, right?
Yep.
And for us to hope or undercover not want something to succeed, I mean, he's got to sell Lowrance product or help people with Lowrance product in order to get the deals that he has.
Yeah.
Right. And it's the same thing with you now, even before, whether you're repping, this boat, this engine, or whatever, anglers, they want you to help sell product.
Yeah.
And in the end, I think that, when people understand, that's the one thing I don't like about bass fishermen, and I try to not be that way. Bass fishermen inherently are very secretive. They have a lot of ego. And I always say, people are like, man, Ken, you're so cool. I'm like, dude, all you're doing is catching a fish.
Right.
That's it. Well, that's all you're doing. You put a jersey on that flies your colors sometimes, but in the end, all you're doing is catching a fish.
At the end of the day, that's all it is.
That's it. That don't make you better than me better than you, or none of that stuff.
Right. I don't hear you, Rod. You cut out.
Oh yeah, Todd. Rod's audio is. Yeah, you had something good to say though. I seen you smiling and everything.
Smiling and cheeking up. Nothing, bro.
It's all good.
Yeah.
We can hear each other though. Can the fans hear us?
I could hear you good. So yeah,
Okay.
check your give us a thumbs up. Hopefully everybody's coming in. Oh man, you're
No, we ain't got you, Rod. So Todd, like I said, it's to me, it's not about that. And I always say this too, as we get longer in our years in our tooth,
yeah,
I think more and more about my legacy.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? I mean, you can be a tremendous angler, and you and I could name a bunch of them.
Yes.
That have come and gone. Okay. And you could be a tremendous angler who won, a bunch of stuff back then. And, for whatever reason, you're not fishing anymore. And
yeah,
but that's not, people are always going to give you credit for being good, but they're not going to remember a black bear story. They're not going to remember how good you were to them. People will remember how you treat them,
yes, sir,
and how you handle situations,
yeah,
more than whether you want a fish catching tournament event.
right. A contest, a derby, as we call it.
Right. Yeah, a derby. So I mean, look, I always say this too. You shouldn't enter something that's a competition and not expect to win.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you play the game to win, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I mean, is that a Mora? Did Mora say that? You play the game to win. Right. That's why you play the game, right? You play the game to win. So you should always, oh, is it her? Okay. So, and it's true, right? It is a competition. You're putting money down, and they're going to award something back. I want to win. I want to beat everybody every day. And if you don't have that mentality, you don't have to act that way.
Right.
Right. But
Yeah.
inside my desire, like always, people always say, oh, well, hey, Todd's going to be there. I got to beat Todd Woods. I got to beat Joe Uribe. I got to beat, Brian Smith. I got to beat. No, you don't. You got to beat the fish that day. Right. And you beat the fish that day for 3 days in a row. Right. I want to beat everybody. Right. The only time I want to beat Todd Woods is Todd Woods better be in second.
Right.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So if you're in 10th, I don't want to beat you in 9th, because that means I lost 2.
Right. Yeah. No, that's good. And you're retired, right? Police.
This year. Yep. I actually, my last working day was actually May 6th of this year.
Okay.
Yep. So I did. How many years you do? I did almost 29.
31.
Man, you freaking went for it.
Oh man, it was all about. It's all about the Benjamins, as they say. 31 years, made a difference. But so let me ask you another question, because firemen, we have this thing I used to be in a fire police league, guns and hoses. We played softball with a lot of cops, and I got along great with the cops, my local cops, the guys that I played softball with. Of course, like you said, we all have our attitudes and our egos, but have you ever had to pull your gun on anybody?
Well, so yes, the answer is yes.
Okay.
So I actually worked when I was getting to know worked on a U.S. Marshals fugitive team.
Okay.
A lot of plain clothes, unmarked vehicles and things like that. And obviously the setup public safety is different now than it was,
Yeah.
So in those situations, we did actually a lot of forced entries back in the day. So we did have weapons out, but we were chasing what I would say was the worst of the worst. Basically, if my team was chasing you, Like burglary, 211, armed robbery, 245, which is assault with deadly weapon, attempt murder, and then sex offense.
Wow.
Right. So yeah, my team didn't go like, and then like, you're wanted for something serious. So yeah, so that has happened, and I've never had to use it, thank God. Most of us really don't. The climate. I don't want to get into that. Yeah.
No, I mean, I ask you that because 29 years, I don't care what it is. There's things that will make you bitter, and the fact that mall that I had never seen that, how did you maintain?
Especially in fishing, man, but it's in life, period. And if young people, I don't care what age you are, if you get caught up in anything, if you get caught up in the politics, or I don't like that, and I don't mean political politics, but even the politics of fishing.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people get wrapped up into. If you allow yourself to get into that, and what I use this motion, you kind of sink into that. For the most part, I'm going to say that you're probably not successful in fishing.
Yeah.
Right, because you're too worried about what this rule is, or what that rule is, or what this person's doing, or what that person's doing.
Yeah.
And Jordan didn't look at the people below him. He set the standard.
Yeah.
Right? Tiger didn't look at the people below him. He doesn't know what the number 10 player in the world's doing.
Right.
Because he's doing him, and he's ultimately focused on doing him. Yeah. So for me, it's a lot of it, to answer your question, and I appreciate the question, is it's just upbringing. My mom and dad, just taught me, straight up. They just taught me to not dwell on things I can't control.
Yeah.
And in fishing, I'm telling you, and all three of us know this, there's so much you cannot control.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just, it's crazy. So that's why I'm so detailed in controlling all the controllables. If your hooks are sharp, if your line is changed, are you tightening the bolts on your jack plate? Is your trolling motor greased so it's not noisy? All those things. I'm probably known to be like the king of backing up the backup. Like if you guys ever see me on the water and you need a kill switch, I have it. If you need a freaking prop wrench, I have it. I have an extra prop. I got this. I mean, I just, yeah. And then that's important. That's really important part. You're everything. You're just sometimes a fisherman, an angler, right? You're always a truck driver. You're always a pit crew, right? You're always a travel agent, right? Yeah. You're always stopping to get gas, right? You're always planning to get food. You're all those things all the time. And you only get to fish, if you're lucky, you get to fish for like 8 or 10 hours
right.
of each day, right? So the other 14 to 16 hours, right? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Right?
You're right. You're right. Back. When I used to fish, 20 plus years ago, guys would carry spare prop. I'm sorry, not
trolling motor.
Spare trolling motors. Yeah, spare prop. I carry a jumper, in my boat.
Lithium jump pack. That we can control, so you have to control all the controllables. You have to be positive.
Yeah.
And I always say this: every second of every minute of every that's with Nick Sauchi. Like I lost freaking forecasts.
Yeah.
In my younger days, I would let that derail me a little bit.
Yeah, I got a couple of those that were very, very, just call it negative. One that out me. We want to make when he was 14, we qualified for a fish off at Clear Lake, and I hired Ross England as a guide because I didn't know anything about Clear Lake. He showed me how to catch fish at the time. It was in October. Long story short, once he showed me, I found this. He showed me a spot that was loaded. It was in Land's End. So it was two day tournament. The first day we caught, it was my almost 20 pounds, my son and I.
Right.
The second day we went to another spot that I had personally found that was similar to the other spot. We pull up the second day, and we go in there and we're fishing, and we've already got like 4 fish in the live well. And here comes another boat. The other boat, he's like looking at us like, what are you guys doing on this spot? Because I didn't fish there the day before, but I had that spot. And I beat him. He must have had a later draw in there. Anyway, long story short, he's like giving me a hard time. He was literally giving me a hard time for fishing the spot. And finally I was getting angry. I found myself getting angry. I've got my 14-year-old in the boat.
Right.
And I ended up finally saying, dude, we can't fish angry. Okay. Let's just share the area and whatever happens, happens. So that's what we did. We share the area, and they ended up coming in, I think, third, and we came in fourth in the tournament. And the person happened to be, I'm going to say his name, Mike Lillibridge. And as it turns out, years later, I don't know if you saw my tuna pictures recently, but that was with Mike Lillibridge. So that could have turned super, super ugly, however many years ago that was. And we ended up working it out,
You bring up a thing here that, when you fish, especially when you fish multi-day pro-ams and you have, bigger purses and things like that, you always hear about somebody or two somebodies who have a run-in.
Yeah.
Right. And over the years, it's inherent that's something, especially on Clear Lake, right? I mean, I 10 or 15 years ago, I always said, Clear Lake has turned into one big community.
Yeah.
Right. Because 10 years ago, you could have some things to yourself there.
Yes.
Now, you do what I call a hot lap. You just do a hot lap, right? You see where everybody's at. And then when the results come in, you kind of know where people were at, right?
Right.
So I always say that, you have run-ins with people, and I say this all the time, what people they're not going to remember what what happened. What they're going to remember is how you handled yourself during that adversity.
Yeah.
And one of the things that to this day, right, and with people, obviously you have, in that environment you do.
Yeah.
And I always professional.
Yeah.
But like I'm, and I've said this to people. I'm like, dude, I pounds. I go, and I'm in a 21-foot boat. You can't not see me right here. It's impossible for you to not see me.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So if anglers would just talk to each other like you did.
Yeah.
I'd rather the person, right? The guy saying this day, well, if Todd wasn't there, I might have won.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And you're saying the same thing. Well, if he wouldn't have showed up, I might have won.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But the point is that because one of you, right, handled it professionally, right, and objectively, right, now you're friends.
Yeah.
Right, and you're not enemies. So
Absolutely.
so I would always encourage people, and I've had, I do the same thing. Like if there was a pleasure boater there, if there was a kayaker there, you know, because I hear kayak anglers all the time. They're complaining about us big boat guys because we pull in, we see a kayak, and we're just like, oh, we just dismiss them,
Right.
you know. And I truly feel that if I bumped into you know, Rod, and him and his son are fishing that day, that's the most important day of Rod's life right there,
Right. Right.
right? He,
Yeah. 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 Fun fishing. Yeah. Fun fishing. Yeah.
and it's probably was on a Wednesday or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah. All the time. Yeah.
Yeah, but also the difference is if Ryder wasn't there, you would have responded differently. Right, right,
Oh,
and that's, I guess that's my point here. You know, and I hate to put an age on it. I want to say um, the older generation typically was better about it. You know, the younger generation now, they got their heads down. I'm not saying that they didn't find what they found.
yeah.
Okay. But you know, they have their heads down, and you know, they're just fishing, they're fishing hard, they're grinding. You know, I get all that, you know, but it's also okay to have a conversation. No one's gonna be, you know, like, you know, if you know, Todd, if you're sitting in front of McGaw at Clear Lake, you can't have the whole bay, Todd.
Right.
You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
you just can't. You want the whole bay, but you can't have the whole bay.
Right. And my deal is, yeah, I mean, that is a perfect scenario. And you mentioned Nick Sabucci. I had a run in with him, and same thing. It was like I was invisible. Okay, I'm sitting on a spot, and he goes that way, and I'm still sitting on the spot I'm sitting on. So he makes a U-turn after a while. Like I said, this is taking like 40 minutes, and so now he's coming my way, and now I can reach him with my cast. Now I haven't moved 10 feet, and I'm like, am I invisible? Am I invisible? That was exactly what I asked him.
Right.
And he started bombing me, and I mean, he started going. And at that point, I knew it was just keep. You know, there was no. You know, I was hoping maybe he would come up to me later, you know, and say, "Hey, dude, tough Jay," or whatever. But we never had that conversation. But I felt like, you know, and I'm like, dude, am I out of line here? Because like, you didn't go anywhere. You've been here the whole time. You know, and then he's tried to make it personal. What, did you catch 4 fish yesterday? Or, you know, he made some. I'm like, okay, I'm not. You know, and like I said, I love bringing it in the situation because they have to, man.
And I was there. You know, I'm with them, and so I'm not
Oh,
specific
no,
situation.
and you should.
Yeah, but overall, you know, typically he's not that way.
Having a bad day. You know,
Yeah,
something going on.
and it's just like you know, Rod said about that guy. You know, like your first response will dictate how the rest of that interaction is going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, to close that up, I would just, you know, I go tournament boat, non boat. I've been there where there's no fishing, right? You know, clearly they're not in the tournament.
Yeah.
Okay, but if they're right where I want to be,
and they're on the juice. And they're on the juice.
Yeah, yeah, I will idle right up to them. You know, sometimes my coin is like, oh dang, what's happening right here? You know, like, is he gonna really start fishing right here? You know, and I'll talk to them. I will just say, plain as day, like, hey, fishing a tournament, you know, There's a stretch up here about 50 yards in front of you. I'd really like to fish. I know your day is important to you also. Do you mind? And almost 10 out of 10 times, right? They're going to be like, yeah, sure, no problem.
Oh, yeah.
With respect, right?
Yeah.
Because if
Yeah.
I disrespect you, it doesn't matter what I'm going to ask you next.
Yeah.
Right. At that point, you're disrespected as a human.
Yeah. Usually I'm usually, if I want to go inside, I'll say to the guy, hey, do you mind if I go around this spot, or do you mind if, and usually it's, yeah, like you said, 10 out of 10 times it's like, yeah, man, no problem. I've never had a guy go, no, man, I'm fishing this right here. They usually like, yeah, go ahead, slide through.
Yeah. Yeah, it was El Cap the first 2 days and San V one day. A whopper plopper.
Yay!
Yeah. So I didn't qualify to go to San V. Yeah. Right. So you had to we fished El Cap for 2 days, and you know what, that lake has got them. I wish it was. I used to remember because doesn't Ricky fish that lake a lot? Yeah. So but I remember he used to always hold fish up and stuff like that, and I was like, man, it'd be fun to go down there. If that lake was like either full or just like 30 or 40% bigger, that would be a really fun lake. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I've never been there. First cast was with the plopper. And I threw a buzzer, double buzzer. I threw a frog.
So you caught some frogfish right there? Or?
I did. And then I flipped an ouncer around. I mean, it's got all the cover there.
Yeah.
So I was able to, I felt good, based on what I could see and the cover. So I thought I would do better than I did. I think I ended up like 24th out of, there was 41 there, I think. So I missed a check, but yeah, I mean, it's a neat lake. Mm-hmm.
Then go.
Yeah. No. I didn't. I didn't fish slow at all in that tournament, but